Sure. Do you all remember the feeling that you had when you were in middle school, when you were 12 or 13 years old, in 6th, 7th grade? That feeling of excitement, wanting to belong, but yet being very, very, very vulnerable? That's what traffickers prey upon, vulnerability. Whether it's a 12-year-old runaway or a 35-year-old man trying to find money to feed his family, vulnerable populations being preyed upon. That's what it's about. It's not complicated. They know how to keep that vicious cycle going. Supply and demand. It's about supply and demand. That's a photo of me, 12-year-old me. The summer I turned 12, I ran away from my Fairfax, Virginia home. And I want to repeat that. The summer I turned 12, I ran away from home and I went to nearby Washington, D.C. I'd been being abused and nobody would listen to me, so I ran away from home. In DuPont Circle, a young woman approached me and she said she wanted to help me and she understood how I felt. And I went back with her to her apartment and sadly, her trafficker was there. She had been out like recruiting other runaways. Maybe she'd been one herself one day. One day they took me to the corner of 14th and I Streets, not that far from here, in our nation's capital, and they sold me to a trafficker from New York. And I can remember that day like it was yesterday. My memory's pretty messed up from some of the stuff I've been through, but I can remember that day. I remember the money exchanging hands, and I remember him driving me up to New York, and I remember him taking things up a notch, really. He programmed me, and I use that word on purpose, he programmed my young mind. He knew exactly how to create a commodity out of a human being. He knew how to create a trauma bond. I always get asked, why didn't you just leave? How could that be possible? I bonded with the trafficker. He knew how to create that bond. I never had my first dance. I never had my first innocent kiss. I never went to high school because I was 12 years old when I left home. But I did have an 85-year-old man die on top of me when I was 16 years old, being trafficked in New York.